What's up, everybody? Let people get on here real quick. Get a coffee in hand if you need a little coffee. We're going to talk for like a couple minutes here. What's up, yo? What's up? What's up? Come on in here. What's going on? Here in the chat. Say hi. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Come on in here. We're going to have a little real talk this morning. If you're in there and you feel want to chat, go into that chat. Let me know you're here. Who's out there today? Who needs a little respect in their life? Come on in. All right. So today I'm going to talk about self-sabotage and why I think we do it. Hey, Vilu, what's up? Why I think we do sabotage ourselves. And I think, and there's obviously several reasons why I think we sabotage something good or a relationship or a friendship or anything for that matter. But I think what I'm gathering from like most people is that they're kind of afraid of success. And I think that that's a lot of people. A lot of people are really terrified of like living up to their full potential, possibly because they've never known success or they're afraid of when they reach success, what that could mean for them. And I think that's like, I think success in terms of like business, I think success in terms of friendships, I think success in terms of pretty much everything that you do. But I think people sabotage themselves because they are afraid of, again, living up to their fullest potential. And it's scary. Don't get me wrong. Like, I truly do feel, morning, Rebecca. I truly do feel like people, listen, at the end of the day, like what's the common denominator for most people is fear, right? They're afraid of being poor. They're afraid of success. They're afraid of a successful relationship. And I think a lot of it comes down to like people enjoy complaining about being miserable. And it's kind of annoying because the reason why I find it to be annoying is it's like, again, it's like this victimhood mentality where I'm sure most of you can honestly say like, yeah, I have been a victim in my life and that's fair. But I think that we have to start owning our victimhood because at the end of the day, when you stop being a victim, what's on the other side of victimhood is freedom. You start taking accountability for your life choices, how things play out. And I truly believe that the reason why, going back to like self-sabotage, is that people are they have no discipline of the mind, right? So they get wrapped into, for example, here's a good example, right? You get into a relationship or you start seeing like something good happening, But you, because of your past, because you haven't healed from your past, what do? You revert back to your trauma. So let's say, for example, you're in a relationship and it's really, really great for like the first 6 months, right? And then suddenly you start to see people, this person start to kind of start treating you not well. Maybe they're physically or emotionally abusive or verbally abusive, and you kind of, because of your past trauma, because of the fact that you haven't healed that part of yourself yet, because you haven't owned it and taken accountability for like, oh yeah, I do not like I haven't really dealt with that side of myself yet, right? So, and maybe it's because you're afraid to, and that's totally valid, but that's just like something that I think that we all need to start owning, is the fact that we all have a past, right? um I mean, I can tell you from all honesty, like I had this total like abandonment issue because I lost my dad when I was 25. Almost every like relationship that I thought I was in or had, even friendships, um, I would sort of sabotage on my own because of the loss. I was more afraid of, um, I wanted to be the one to like say no. I wanted to be the one like in charge and say no, right? So I think a lot of people, because they don't want to deal with their past baggage and their past emotional trauma and their past emotional, spiritual, whatever, anything, they revert back to being like, that's what I deserve now. Like I know people who are in emotionally abusive relationships, and they think it's okay. And I'm constantly like, that's not normal, right? So I think that everybody needs to start to think of like, why is it that you think you deserve what you're getting currently in your life? And I think if you really look at it, it's back in your past of, even like, for example, my dad was awesome. But the fact of the matter is that like he was traveling all the time, which could totally result in me thinking that abandonment or somebody leaving my life and coming in and out of my life is normal. And while the travel is because my dad had to completely provide for the family, which I respect entirely, and I think it's amazing that I had a father that provided, it also put in my brain that people come and go and that someone easily comes and goes. And I thought that that's just how, that people left my life. Like I thought that was like part of, so like an aspect of him trying to provide, in my brain, for some reason, I thought it was, oh, he's leaving, which wasn't the case. It was he was providing. But in my brain, I was like, oh, it's easy for him to leave. So then psychologically, I put into my brain that people abandoned me. And then I had friends who didn't treat me properly because I allowed myself to not let them, like I didn't have a standard of how I wanted to be treated. Um, Yes, Vilu, absolutely. Our trauma creates filters. It's so true. I think that a lot of people, um, they have like these, what's that? The rose-covered glasses on. It's like you have like it's like the those like films that you put on a window. It's almost like you can't really see through it, and you want to ignore it because you are afraid of what might actually like come through. Like for example, I do a lot of myofascial work with people, and at first, a lot of people are very nervous about fascial work because, as I tell them, it's, when you release fascia, you're really opening yourself up to possibility and also getting rid of trauma. You're releasing trauma from the tissue and from the fascial system, the webbing of the fascial system. So when people tell me, oh, I'm actually breaking through that, you need to allow yourself to take that to really live into that and be okay with surrendering into that. I think, like I was going into standards, is that I think that especially recently, a lot of people are like, on a scale of like 1 to 10, a lot of people live in this like, anymore, I should say, they live in this like standard that's like down here. And I find it a lot in our country and in our nation right now, is that like there's no level of excellence. There's no level of like high standard anymore, of like amazing service, amazing friendships, people who want to be in your life. It's sort of this like, I feel like I don't even want to say it's like in between. And I'm not saying everybody because I don't like to generalize, but like as a whole, I feel like we're in this like area where our standard is like down here because we've lost this, and it's no fault of our own, but we've lost this connection. Yeah, self-love and respect. It's so true. I mean, I feel like, again, so going, I'll address that in 1 second, but I feel like the standard of excellence and the standard of being a good friend and a good person is down here, because because we sabotage ourselves, you guys. I think it's because we're honestly so afraid of what it could feel like to live in this like high energy place of like what I deserve, what I demand of other people, and also demand of myself, right? Going to what Vilu's saying here about self-love and respect, I feel like when you respect yourself and you have a high standard of yourself, of your business, of your friendships, all of it, like you actually create such a presence in your life because you're no longer in this like gray of not creating, and you're living in this, so to speak, this vibration of low. Like you're down here because you're so afraid of what someone may think of you. And listen, there are moments when we all have that like insecurity of, and I think insecurity to me comes from when, again, self-sabotage comes from you're so uncertain of who you are that you are constantly second guessing yourself. And I think, again, that's something that we need as a whole need to work on, is like be who you are, like own it. If you're somebody like me, like I love motivating people, and it's like a goal of mine to be talking, and this is like a dream of mine, is to talk to people, to talk to all of you and get you really living your purpose and and what you want to be doing. Because and the I will totally give props to somebody that I've been listening to for a while and his team, which is Dr. Dean, which is where Vilu is from, Brave TV, is that they all have this high level of expectation of themselves. And also Rebecca is also from Brave TV, where I met her. And we have this high level of standard of who we surround ourselves with and who we want to be and what we want our lives to look. And I feel like because we got so complacent, and I'm not blaming it on 2020, but I think that we got so complacent and so like mediocre because we just started to go, I can live in my house and not go to do anything and be depressed. Guys, all these things are on you. And if you don't start taking accountability and responsibility for living your life, that's on you. And I feel like a lot of this is, again, it comes back to self-sabotage. It comes back to not being okay with yourself. I even tell my daughters to go all in when it's so true. Guys, like, so Vilu said, I even tell my daughters to go all in when choosing, to be in trouble, be proud of everything you are. Guys, I will say, as our soul, our human, as being a human being, our spirit, we are capable of so much more. And I think it's because, again, we sit in that fear. I'm getting like Holy Spirit chills, because I feel like we sit in that fear of like, oh, like I'm afraid. And guess what? Like owning a business, even being in a relationship, buying a home, doing everything in life is a risk, right? You're gonna go through, like, this is where I always tell people, you're gonna go through trying times, but the more that you can, what's the word I'm looking for? The more that you can just go through it and get yourself out of it, because you will, human condition is that you will get yourself out of it. You need to keep your energy high. If there's one thing that I've learned in the past like 6 months, it's that even when I do feel down here, like physically, I emotionally get myself up here, because then my body will react to that because your body is so powerful. The energy moves through so fast. And I feel like we just sit in this like, oh, poor me state. And as opposed to like Dr. Dean has taught me, and I think you all should follow him, is just that like, go to bravetv.com. It's just like it's one of those like kick in the ass places that I love. But it's not for the weak of heart. And there's a lot of truths that some people may not be able to deal with. So this is me being as nice as I can. And you have to go through the pain of the trauma, and you have to go through the pain of kind of being conned. Like we kind of got played. And in a lot of ways, right? Like, and I think people are very stuck in this, and again, it's no fault of our own, but like a form of self-sabotage is, again, thinking that you just deserve to be down here, to not be thriving, to not be, it's this idea of like, you always deserve a reward, right? And while I love a good reward, rewards should be worked for and they should be earned. They're not necessarily deserved, right? They are, you work for it. And it could be getting out of debt. It could be wanting to be a millionaire. It could be anything. And I think a lot of people have gotten into this state of like, oh, it should all come easy. And if there's one thing that I've learned, because I always thought that way too, I was like, oh, everything should just be easy and, come to me. And like, yes, there's a factor of like, things do come naturally to you when you just aren't, when you're not like so focused on it. It's like that law of attraction thing. Like you get things when you're not really thinking about it, which I believe in, but I also believe in hard work. And I think, again, like there's this, especially like the younger generation, if anybody is like, in their 20s right now watching, there's this lack of hard work. There's this thing of like, oh, I deserve a new car, or I deserve millions of dollars, or you don't. I hate to break it to you. You need to work for that. Like even people who young kids who have opened up their own businesses at the age of 20, amazing. I opened my own business at 27 and it was the best decision I ever made. However, I had some really hard years, and I think, and I'm, there's ups and downs to owning your own business. There's ups and downs to working corporate. There's ups and downs to everything. And I think that the more the younger population and the older, everyone can just like understand that there's ebbs and flows, the better you can do. But you also need to not be afraid to create, and you need to not be afraid to just be who you are. Because we all have stories to tell, and if there's something that I can like bestow onto you all, is that when you just own your story, when you own and stop being afraid of your story, is when you make the biggest impact, right? Is when you make the bold choices, the big risks, but with big risks comes big rewards, not necessarily right away, but if you stick in with it, you trust God, you trust your source or whoever you believe in, and you just dig in, it will pay off in the end. I promise. You just need to just stop sabotaging yourself. Stop allowing like your insecurities of where you came from and or where you want to go. Success is a fear for a lot of people. People always say, oh, I'm afraid of failing. I don't think that's always the case. I think a lot of people are terrified of succeeding, because when you succeed, guess what you can't do? You can't complain. When you succeed, you can't complain about anything, because you're reaching a level of you're reaching your higher self, so to speak. You're reaching a level that you never thought you could. And that's exciting, but also terrifying, because when you start to succeed, you start to have more responsibility. And that scares a lot of people, because why? Can anyone tell me why that might scare you? Because there's a lot of reasons why people are so afraid of that. And I think a lot of it comes down to complaining. A lot of people enjoy complaining. It's like an addiction, right? And there's a lot of addiction out there, but a lot of people love to complain about being miserable. They love to complain about not knowing. I don't know. I don't, guys, like in my opinion, from what I've seen, there's no reason to complain. Like, knowledge is at your fingertips, and if you're not using the knowledge that you've gained, and if you're not trying harder to live up to your potential and to do what you know you need to do, your purpose, all of that. And the thing about purpose that I think a lot of people don't touch on is that it can change. When I was in my 20s, I totally thought my purpose was being an actor. And then it's so interesting because now, even though my dad passed away, his passing pushed me into the career and the purpose that I'm in now, which is healing people and helping people through their emotional stuff and getting stronger. But like, true strength to me is not just like muscular strength. It's knowing who you are. It's owning your shit. It's owning your insecurities and owning your failures, owning your fears. That's true strength, is not being able to be open with people and cry and all of that. It's not everyone thinks, oh, strength is just training and strength is just, showing up to the gym, and that's like 10% of strength. And it might be, to me, and also strength is getting through like your cravings, so to speak, if you want to go like the nutritional route, right? Getting through all that. But there's so many ways to get out of that, and so many ways that people, I think, again, people are locked into this like mentality that they need to overcome, which is this idea that you cannot continue to learn or continue to heal. There's so many ways to heal the body, the mind, the spirit, the gut, everything. And I think that people just get so black and white with things because it goes against something that they've known for a long time. And even when if anyone comes to me, I literally have to tell them straight up, like, it's going to take a long time. Like, this is a lifetime process, because the thing is that it takes you years to unlearn all the crap that you thought was right, to relearn what's actually true. So I say this humbly, is that the more that you can be open to new modalities of healing, the more that you can be open mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, the more that you're actually going to get out of it, right? Hold for 1 second. I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. Yes, the most painful and yet so rewarding has been to let go of parasitic relationships. It's so true. When I was I'm in my early 30s, but when I was like, I should say, like, right before 2020, I actually lost a really good friend of mine who I thought I would have for years. But there was something that I was like noticing, which was this person really liked to complain a lot and like be miserable and be in this, like, it was always something. Like, have you ever had anybody in your life where you're constantly like, are you ever okay? Like, are you ever happy? Are you ever in like I'm good. I have nothing to complain. Are you ever in that? Have you ever had a relationship where it's where somebody is always saying, oh, I wish I had, oh, this hurts, oh, da da da. And it's like, okay, like, something's got to give here. But then you see in yourself that you start to complain, that your mindset is like one of a complainer or one of a poor me, misery, because I for sure have. And it's really tough to admit it. But like, I said it straight to this person. I was like, listen, I love you and I think you're awesome, but I can't be around you if you're going to continue to complain. And then it's almost, yeah, see, Vilo, yeah, Vilo, I hear you. And it's sad because it's like these people energetically and like from like spiritually, I can feel like, oh, this is a good person. But then you hear them and you hear their thoughts. And again, it's a brain thing. It's like, oh, they think they don't discipline their brain enough to say, I don't like complaining. They don't have the wherewithal to say, stop saying these things, stop thinking these things. And again, this is something that's lost on this generation and on a lot of Americans right now in the world, in my opinion. Really, this is not national. This is a global this is a global problem, in my opinion, is that people do not have the mental discipline to shut off negative thoughts because no one ever taught you to shut off negative thoughts, myself included. No one ever taught me to shut off negative thoughts, and it's still something that I have to work on to this day, is turning that off and turning off those negative thoughts and planting new ones is crucial to success. Because I will tell you right now, I have had days where I'm like, ooh, today was rough, or ooh, people really are exhausting today, and I have to just go. And then you get into this like depressing state, and I've said this before on several videos, is that happiness and being in a good space is a choice. And if you don't mentally, and if you don't discipline your brain to make that choice, you'll never be happy. I love when people say, oh, it's raining, I'm depressed, or oh, it's raining, I'm just like in a bad mood. And I'm like, what? Why? What does rain have anything to do with how you feel? Nothing. I'm sorry, but like weather, and don't get me wrong, I know it can, like I live in, the eastern part of Philadelphia, and or Pennsylvania, excuse me, and it's been raining for like 5 days straight. And I could easily be like, ugh, I'm just gonna sit on the couch and like watch TV and whatever. And that's the problem, is that because you get into this like depressed state, and because your body's not working for you, and because you're not taking supplementation, and because you're not treating your body properly, and you're not even treating, like, consuming, you're not telling yourself the right thoughts, which is, nope, I'm gonna still produce, nope, I'm gonna still go out and affect someone in a positive way, nope, I'm gonna go work out, nope. It's, again, you get into this thought process of, poor me, self-sabotage, right? Oh, I'll do it later. Procrastination. You guys need to, again, it's like you need to think about where your energy is at. And this is why people have coaches, because coaches can tell you, like, listen, I'm not perfect, but coaches can tell you, stop sitting there. What are you getting from that, right? You're not getting anything from being in that depressed state. You're actually getting misery. You're getting that low, all just being down here the whole time, when you really should be up here killing it, firing off things and working and being happy. And because when you're up here, you attract people who are up here. When you're down here, guess what you attract? Parasitic people. You attract people that don't like their life. You attract people that are miserable. You attract people that just, this is where they stay. And then you have people who have no spine, who live in here, who are like, oh, whatever, palm tree people, who are like, it's fine. Listen, you can still be up here and go with the flow and let life go and do everything that life has coming at you, but you can still operate at a high energy place, right? As opposed to down here. So if there's one thing I can tell you all, stop self-sabotaging yourself, and you need to look at that. We are what we eat as much as. Yes, we are what we eat as much of, yes, as how we choose to feel. It's so true. And I will add to that, if you eat properly and you eat, because everyone says you are what you eat, I don't believe that. You are what you eat has eaten, right? So if you're eating beef or chicken that's eaten grains and all this other crap, eating a GMO diet, you're gonna feel like crap. If you eat grass-fed, grass-finished beef and proper things that we're meant to be eating, good fats and all that, you're going to feel amazing. And then you're going to wonder, and then you're not going to have a choice but to feel great, because your body is like, oh, I feel amazing, right? So you think about, this is where I'll tell you to start. Think about the quality of people that you surround yourself with, because you are who you surround yourself with. I think it's like the top 5 people. I would even go as much as to say the top 10 people, because it depends. It really depends on who you like, how many people are in your circle. But you are who you surround yourself with. You are what you ate has eaten. You are your thoughts, right? So if you think terrible thoughts, you're going to be in a pretty crappy place. If you thoughts, movement, right? People don't, and I'm not saying to overdo it, because I think a lot of people right now use the gym in an unhealthy way. I think a lot of people exercise to run from their problems as opposed to exercising to feel good and to feel strong, but also to live a better life. Because being physically active is known to improve your mood, but people use it to hide and they get obsessive. I can attest to it because I used to do it myself. When my dad passed away, I was very obsessed with exercise because it was a place where I could just numb myself completely. So again, you need to be thinking about, I mean, there's spiritually, like, are you connected to anything in terms of keeping you in an elevated state, something that's keeping you connected spiritually, God, whatever it may be for you, right? For me, it's God, and for you, it may be different. But you need to just think about there's so many factors to true health. There's so many factors to getting your life back and to thriving and to not sabotaging yourself and to not allowing people. Because again, when you have a standard down here, you can't expect to have people up here in a standard up here. It's just not possible. When you start to be here, you're going to start to attract people up here because that's what you expect out of life. And that's what you are asking for, right? When you ask God for things, he will give you them, but you need to stay asking and stay in action of that, right? So I would just totally tell you all, think about those couple of things that I just told you: what you're eating, what you're thinking, how you're moving, why you're moving, and also why you're doing things and who you're surrounding yourself with. Because all of these things can give you an incredible life, but you need to want the incredible life. I can't want it for you. It's like that whole, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force him to drink it. I can help you to get there, but you need to want to take the action too. And you need to meet whoever it is that you're asking for help. You need to meet them halfway. You can't just expect with no action. So on that note, I will just say, you guys are amazing. Keep on believing in yourself. Believe in what you want. Believe in what you know you can have and achieve. But also be present in your own life so that you can undo anything in the past that has happened to you and continue to do that, and stay motivated in your own life. And it comes down to habits. The more that you can consistently do things and consistently take action on things, the more you will see that come out in real life. You can't just go, oh, I'm not, because again, what happens when you lose motivation? You don't do it. You need to make it a constant habit every single day, that your mind is checked in, your heart is checked in, your words, your everything. Keep your elevation here, not down here. On that note, have an amazing Wednesday. Hump day. Have an amazing Wednesday, and just stay in. Just have a bigger plan for yourself. Have a higher standard. Have a higher expectation of yourself, and you will find such success. I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday. I will talk to you soon.